Beautiful there. And speaking of trees, during the recent hurricanes, we lost so many trees across the South. What a mess.
Yeah, Hurricane Irma's wind and rainfall took down or damaged countless trees across Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. And the unprecedented flooding with Harvey created unstable ground for many trees in Texas as well.
You know, we need an expert.
Yes,
we really do. Yeah, and joining us now in studio is Jonathan McNeil. He's a certified arborist. He's here to talk about the best ways to care for trees after storms and how we will maintain them during the fall months. Thanks so much for being here. And I got to ask you right at the gate. How can we tell if a tree has been damaged after a storm? Because sometimes I'm sure it's obvious, but sometimes maybe not so much.
There'll be some, obviously, an obvious sign would be the trees uprooting, exposed roots, snapped off limbs, what have you. So if you see that, you might want to call an expert in to have a good examination of what's going on out there.
But sometimes, with the roots underground, you can't tell there's a problem with the root system.
You can't, but you can look for cracks in the soil, or sometimes the grass will lift up and you can see that. You might find some mushrooms or conchs on the base of the tree. They could also be an early indicator of some root problems.
Okay, this is a question that I struggle with. I'm sure a lot of people out there do. When should we make the call? When you think, okay, this is a do-it-myself job, and when do you have the moment where you think, okay, this is too big for me, I've got to bring in an expert?
Yes, tree care is inherently dangerous, and it should always be left to professionals. Climbing up a ladder with a chainsaw obviously is not a very good.
Yeah.
Two and two don't go together.
Right.
That limb, the gravity's going to work. It's going to take your ladder out from underneath you. Obviously, we use sophisticated harnesses to tie in with ropes and what have you. So everything, we stay secure in the tree, as well as bringing the branches of the trees down in a smooth, systematic manner.
Yeah, this is why I don't want my husband on a ladder with any of this stuff. But let's kind of go over some of the things that you brought in.
Sure. Okay, so obviously we use a climbing harness and carabiners, ropes, what have you, for securing ourselves. We're also wearing all of our PPE, helmets, ear protection, eye protection, and then we can get into the nitty-gritties of using chainsaws. We use this smaller saw for when we're in the tree. However, when you have a 4-foot diameter tree that's blown over, your little saw's not going to do it. You're going to step it up your game a little bit.
And this thing, I'm guessing, is, oh my God, I can't even lift it.
Let's get some heft to it, yeah, definitely.
It's really heavy. Experts definitely for this particular thing. I'm amazed that you guys can get up there and you're on ropes and everything like that. I mean, do you get nervous?
Sometimes, but that also keeps your mind in the game. If you're not nervous, then you find yourself liable for injury or to get killed.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure that, being focused is paramount. Are there certain types of trees that you find are more susceptible to damage in storms, and there are on the inverse of that, are there other trees that are more resilient?
In terms of trees, obviously your bigger oaks, we've seen that a lot in the South, a lot of trees blown over because of that huge sail that they have.
Sure.
And so then in like the tornadoes, you usually have pine trees, what have you. No tree is probably more susceptible than others, so you just have to have your trees regularly inspected by a certified arborist.
And going from storms to, it's October now, so a lot of people want to get out there and get dirty. So do you recommend planting certain kinds of trees this time of year?
Actually, fall is a great time, particularly in the South. You have warm, moist soils. The temperatures are cool in the evenings. Doesn't allow for a lot of evaporation. So now actually for us in the South, we could plant, through all the winter. But now's a great time.
Okay.
Well, comfortable to do it, too.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, thanks so much, Jonathan, for branching out and sharing this information. Before we leave you, we've got some of this information for you. We've got more stories ahead on AMHQ Weekend. It's hard to believe it's 11 days since Hurricane Maria. Puerto Rico still struggling.
Yeah, we're still on top.